What's up,
What's
everybody?
going on, folks?
It's your girl, Nikki Trentz.
I'm Manny Oso.
And you are listening and watching your favorite 15-minute podcast, Bubble Bath Stories. And as you can tell, we have a special guest with us.
That's right.
Creator of Skelly, which I'm sure is going to be like somebody's favorite new cartoon.
Definitely. Everything I've heard about it, I'm pretty excited.
Kayla Davis is with us today, or tonight, I should say. Thank you for joining us.
No problem. Like I said, Gam made a special arrangement to stay up tonight.
I love that. So let's just jump into it, right? I first discovered you on a Facebook forum where you were getting the word out about Skelly and you were crowdfunding for it. And when I initially saw it, I think it was just the artwork of it, I immediately was intrigued. So I kind of have been stalking your social media vibe for a minute, not in a creepy way. It's all for research, I swear.
I'll take it.
You're a mother of two, self-described blurred. Did I say that right? Blurred.
Yes.
Blackbird.
There
it is.
You're a graphic designer. You, like the articles I read about you, very open about dealing with your anxiety and how this plays into Skelly. So let's just get into it. Who is Skelly? Where did Skelly come from? Let us know.
Tell us about the show.
Yeah, so Skelly, we don't know who he is, but he, the whole thing about Skelly is we're playing on the trope of having a skeleton in your closet, which everyone has. Everyone has skeletons in their closet, but the main character, Sarah Kasner, she's African-American Jewish. She does have an actual skeleton in her closet, and nobody seems to believe her, and she starts to go through this thing where maybe like she's crazy and maybe there's really not a skeleton in her closet, but there is. His name is Skelly Bones, and he runs a bar in her closet, and her closet is just like this broom closet. So like the running gag is like, how the hell do you fit a closet in here? People are like, or how do you fit a bar in here? So she's like, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense. But in the bar, Skelly wants her to work and have fun, and she just wants to sleep. And, I drop a little Easter eggs on every interview I do. So the little adage of you'll sleep when you're dead is definitely a big one that everybody should totally keep in their head.
Yes. I have a cousin who says that all the time.
And based on the premise of the show and the characters, it sounds almost like it would make like a great backhanded compliment.
Yeah.
Almost like, oh, wait, sorry, you can sleep when you're dead. What I tell you, sleep when you're dead.
Yeah, and definitely that's going to be used like throughout all the episodes. So we are shooting for 7 episodes.
Wow.
Everybody, another Easter egg, keep that number in your head. So when it does come out, 7 episodes, that is key to something. But it's only going to be a 7-episode season, and this one is going to focus on Sarah. And if we, go further and can get funding for more, it'll definitely be more seasons, and each season will focus on a different character that sees Skelly in their closet.
Oh wow, so it's kind of like an anthropology. Is that what you would call that? An anthology.
It's anthology. Yep. Although I do love Anthropology. That is a great store.
That's not a sponsor spot, guys, just so you know. That was just a flub.
No, not a sponsor. No.
So what was because you interned, I also read that you interned at some big animation places, but like at what point were you like, I have this like idea that is living inside of me that needs to come out?
Oh my gosh. I think I've always had, some kind of idea that I was like, man, I need to see this on TV, growing up as an 80s, 90s kids, watching DuckTales and all of that stuff. You're like, yes, look at all that stuff going. And you're like, oh, I got ideas. They might not be the greatest ideas, but you're like, oh man, I got this idea about a fat cat. Oh, Garfield. Oh, wait a minute. And then you think about it. But I think
at some point, everything has been done though, so you may as well just do your own story.
Yes,
right. And that was the thing, everything out there has been done and it's being rehashed again. I think once I got into my sophomore year of high school, you started to really think about, I think that's when you have to choose what your path in life,
Yeah.
is going to be. Are you going to up in the military, which my dad did, or are you going to go to college, which my dad had always said, you're going to college, you're not taking a gap year, you're not joining the military. He was like, look, I'm going to tell you, you're a pansy. You cannot join the military. You cannot make it. And I was like, Dad, that hurts my feelings so much. But I was like, you're right.
Damn.
You will, you will hear a lot of stories in Skelly about my dad, because my dad always says, oh, I'm the angry black man. And I was like, well, yeah, you keep portraying yourself like that. Yeah, that's what people are going to call you,
Yeah.
And even when I was doing this, before I was doing this, I was doing a webcomic called Casually Kayla, which was an autobiographical webcomic about my life being married to my husband. And my dad was always in there as the angry black man. And he was like, man, I love me some Patti LaBelle. He would just be sitting in the car, like angry as hell. But he's like, that Patti LaBelle, that Sade, beautiful women. And I'm like, what? So, but anyway, yeah, I think back in high school, once you have to try to figure out what your life is going to be, I knew that I had to go to college, and I was like, well, we're going to make this college, degree something that I actually want to do.
Right.
And at that time, I really wanted to do sequential art, like comic books and everything. Love still doing the comics. But then I was told that, do animation. That's where the money is. And that's what I went to school for. That was where the money is back in the day.
Yes.
But that was also...
We're going to put asterisk marks right there.
Right. But that was also, I graduated right as the 2D animation bubble burst. So Disney had said, oh, we're never going to do 2D. We're going to go with Pixar. We're going to do 3D. Toy Story was coming out. They kind of had phased out all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, are you... what? I was like, I paid all this money to go to school and you're telling me what now? So yeah. So, like, I have the Davis luck. I always tell my husband we have the Davis luck. So got out of college and 2D was going out the window. So I was like, crap, maybe my life is over. Luckily, my degree is actually in computer animation. I just did a concentration in 2D. So I was like, I have something to fall back on. But then I live in Georgia, and then, Cartoon Network, Adult Swim, they kind of went under, once again, the Davis luck. So then I'm like, so it's like, what can you really do? So I said, you know what? I'm not going to be beholden to where I'm staying. And I think once COVID hit, which I don't know if this is like a, oh yay, COVID story, but once COVID hit, everybody could start working remotely, and studios started to see that, hey, we don't really need people in Los Angeles, or we don't need people in Texas, and we don't need people actually in here to still churn out the work and get stuff done. So that's the one good thing for me that came from COVID, is that people learned that working remote is awesome, and you can connect with people all the way across the world, and just like this podcast, you can connect with people in different states at any time, as long as y'all can sync up, and it's amazing, so, but I've always had a story in my heart, whether it was, the autobiographical story, or I had a story called Carbon at one point that I started doing a graphic novel for. So I've always had ideas of things that I wanted to get out there. So I guess that answers that question. Sorry, it's late.
No,
but,
no, it's so good to hear how these stories. I mean, like, when we started this podcast, it was really to have conversations with people who are doing things that, we kind of want to do, but maybe aren't brave enough to do. I mean, we talk about coming up with shows all the time. But we don't. So, to see people who are actually doing the work to do that. I mean, crowdfunding, if it's anything like social media for podcasting, I imagine it is just brutal, and you probably hate doing it. So let's talk a little bit about that. The crowdfunding of it all.
Oh gosh. So the crowdfunding. So when I first started, like, once again, back in the day with Casually Kayla, I did 2 little crowdfunding things just for some comic books, and I was very successful with that, did all that, got the money, didn't have to really boost or anything, just people were interested and got it funded. Now this is a whole nother beast right here. This is a monster, and I've had to learn a lot. I've had to adapt a lot. I've had to pivot. Like I just it is people don't know what they want until you tell them what they want. And
That's so
even
true.
then, they don't know that they want it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh,
So, I might get a little shade for that, but I'm like, Skelly's really funny. And people are just like, yeah, yeah, you think you're funny. You're not really that funny. And I was like, I'm hilarious. I am hilarious. Don't you tell me I'm not funny. Now look
Yeah.
at this show, and people are like, oh yeah, you remember that show like we saw like a year and a half ago? Whatever happened to that? People are like,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, as soon as it comes out, I'm totally gonna back you. I'm gonna back you. I'm gonna back you. And so you go in with that mindset. You're like, okay, I've got this many people who want to back me. If I set the goal at this, I think we can still make it with all the people who want to back me. And then time comes and you open
Crickets.
it
It's
up
like,
and it's like
yeah.
crickets.
Crickets.
And it's the
Um,
people closest.
oh
Them
yeah, I was
deciding.
gonna say family is the worst. Don't
Yeah.
trust family when it comes to like crowdfunding. Family is the worst. Love my family to death.
Try.
Don't worry.
I feel
Our whole family's already heard it. They hear it every other episode.
No, I do. I will. I do want to shout out. They did buy merch for one of the
They
big
did.
sales that we had.
Yeah.
So
See?
I was
See,
surprised.
family will come through, but they won't come through for the crowdfunding part. Like
Yeah.
my dad gives me $5 every month. He's like, here's free Skelly. And I was like, I have no idea what you want me to do with this $5,
I
Dad.
know. Wow,
But I'm like, I'm
inflation.
so
Hello.
thankful. Right. But I'm so
Yeah.
thankful that he's believing in me to give me $5, because
Right.
I could not be getting anything. My dad has
Right.
always been my biggest supporter. So
Aw.
it's just when you reach out to like family, deep, deep, deep family, you're
Yeah.
like, hey, can I get your support? And they're like,
Tell me when you're on Pixar.
You know, it's funny. I saw this TikTok because it must have been a time where we were down in the dumps about our social media interaction. We're talking to you guys. That basically was like you can't create stuff for your friends
Yeah.
because
I
they're
get
not
that.
gonna get it. They're not gonna support it if they're not in it with you. They don't get it. They don't, and that really helped changed how we viewed how we did social media
Yeah.
because I was salty for a while, very
yeah,
salty.
yeah.
Talking about pivoting and having to adapt to whatever you need in order to get the crowdfunding going. I know it's a hot topic right now. AI, huge subject. And
Oh,
right
gosh.
now, everybody wants to be on the right side of history. But let me ask you, with this being a developing thing and you not having all the resources someone like Pixar has, what is your opinion on AI on animation? And let me ask you, how much have you considered AI is going to take part in your
Haha.
project?
So this is good. This is really a big hot topic. So I will say in this household, we are a household divided. My husband is totally IT, Microsoft Windows, all that jazz. He is very IT. He said, if
Yeah.
you can't get the money to get Skelly done, I don't see why you don't go to AI.
Yeah.
And I said, when you tell me to do something like that, I'm thinking about all my friends out there and all those people I went to college with,
Mhm.
and you're wanting me to take money out of their mouths. And I don't think that's a good idea. And I will never use AI. And I make that stance to this day. I will
Okay.
never use AI. And if I find anyone on my team using AI, I'm not a mean person, but we're going to have a stern talk about it because I'm not taking any money out of anybody's mouths just so I can get something done quickly with no emotion.
Right.
And it's just that's my stance on it, and I will never go the AI route. I think people have seen me all the time. I'm on social media. I'm like, hey, do you want to do a poster for Skelly? We can use that
Yeah.
as a special poster that we sign for. I'll commission you. This is
Oh,
money coming out
wow.
of my
Yeah.
pocket. I'm like, if I have a little bit of money and I can commission somebody,
Yeah.
best believe I'm going to commission all these people because we have animators out there, tons and tons who don't have jobs. And
Yes.
I definitely, tag support your animators, stop with the AI. That's just my stance on it. People might give me shade for it. They might be like, well, we are doing work because we're putting in the prompts. And I'm just like, you're putting in words. Anybody can put in skibidi deebity doo all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. And I don't think enough people are talking about it too, because the folks, the average watchers don't know how much of what they're watching is AI and is it,
yeah, well, I think also is that like people don't get it.
Yeah.
Streaming's kind of I can't believe I'm gonna say this. I sound so Gen X. What is it? The one before us? Not boomers, Gen Xers.
Oh, you're gonna say you sound old. Oh, I'm so old.
People. Streaming like kind of fucked it up for everybody. There's this instant gratification that people want, but I don't think they realize that the shows that they want instant gratification from takes like 3 fucking years. Hello, we're still waiting for Stranger Things to end, and I don't even care anymore about those kids. Like, I don't even care about them. Like, we're waiting.
And that's the thing. People don't understand. And my whole platform, while I'm doing this, I'm bringing in my voice actors and I'm bringing in my animators and I'm bringing in people who haven't worked in a pipeline because I want everybody to learn something. And I'm always open to talk to anybody. Like if anybody says, hey, let's talk about animation and the pipelines and the pitfalls that you're going through or the successes you've had, I am always willing to talk to people because I don't think people understand how much like what we do on social media, podcast or animation, anything. People don't understand like how much you have to do on the back end and how much you don't see. You might see that one little second or millisecond where I might have flubbed something, or you see a smear frame and you're like, oh, look at that. That's a horrible animation. But do you know what I had to do to get there? That's my thing. Like, and it's like you said, it's instant gratification. People are like, I want this meme and I want it now. While that meme is like 5 seconds for you, animation, that's 24 frames a second. That's a lot. And that's a lot if I'm not doing it myself, I don't have time to do it, or if I have to pay somebody else. So it's just that people and I'm always open and willing to talk to anybody about animation and what it takes to be in here, but I am a advocate of learning and teaching while I'm doing it. I'm never going to look down on anybody and say, oh, you think this is super easy? Mine is always going to be in, come with me. Let me show you what we actually have to go through to get this done. So here's where it starts. I wrote the script. Here's storyboards. And then here's the other part. All of these parts have people working behind it,
Did you get that kind of teaching when you were an intern, or was it very old school in the way like, oh, figure it out the way I figured it out? Or was it a little more open?
I think it was both, but I think, and I talk about this man to this day, he has passed away. I think it's been 12 years. Lou Hertz, he was my teacher in college. He used to work on the Mr. Magoo shorts. I don't know if you've ever heard of Mr. Magoo, but yes. And he did act like Mr. Magoo. He would run around and he's like, you got to get your pegs in your paper. And he's like, oh, wait a minute, where are my pegs? And I'm like, Lou, they're in your hand. He's like, oh, there they are. So it was definitely great to have people who had been in the industry and who taught at our college to definitely teach us what they were taught and how to do things. But it was very much a hands-on. Like if I couldn't get from one keyframe to the second keyframe and I couldn't figure it out, Lou was not going to give me that answer. He was like, keep doing it until you figure it out. And that has been what I have been doing this whole crazy ride on Skelly. People are like, man, you got your stuff really buttoned up and together. And I'm like, no, let me show you what's under this dress, boo-boo. Ain't nothing put together. It's a train wreck. Like, and I'm still learning. And that's what I tell everybody on my team. I said, I'm learning and I'm going to lean into y'all because I think that y'all you guys are perfect at your craft and you know what to do. So I'm going to lean more into y'all and y'all tell me if I'm doing something wrong. So I'm going to continue doing it the way that I know how. But if I do something wrong, slap my hand and tell me because I haven't done this before,
So you've got a story set up for all 7 episodes?
I do, and we have a name for all the episodes, so
Oh,
we've got it
yeah.
all the way. We know what happens with Sarah at the end, and I
Well,
hope
I
people
mean,
want to know what happens.
I want to know definitely, and I actually want to talk a little bit more about this show because when I
Okay.
heard about the premise, the first thing that she showed me was one of your videos on YouTube where you're explaining it, and I could not help but just have flashbacks of different shows that I thought was like, oh my god, that sounds like this. Oh my god, that sounds like this. Oh my god, that sounds like this. And I guess like one real question I had because the show itself, from the premise, it's got a lot to do with therapy. Obviously,
Mhm.
the premise: Sarah is speaking to a therapist about an actual monster living in her closet. Right? How much is therapy, mental states, and really all the things that we now know about abuse patterns gonna have to do with storylines and characters?
Oh, a ton, because almost every character that's in there has had some kind of, if therapy was not around when they were
Yeah,
alive, or around, yeah, it definitely
yeah,
has something to do with it. And even Sarah's whole journey, that is based off of me. Like the experience she has, she works at the Quill, which is a graphic design for corporate, and I do that on the daily. I'm a corporate graphic designer. So it's definitely like the struggles that I went through with that, and having a boss that said I wasn't woke enough, and
Oh
DEI
wow.
and all of that. And it's just like, I don't know what you want me to be. It's like trying to fit in that mold, and I learned very, it's like you're growing up, and you go through that stage where it's like nothing bothers me. I'm 8 years old, blah blah blah. 10, I'm 12, I'm 13. But then when you start hitting puberty, things start to change, and everyone's like, you got these emotions coming out, and they're like, you're too much. They either label you as, oh my god, you're being really bitchy. It might be your time
Yeah.
of the month, or you're being a jock or something, where people don't quite understand that these are signs of like mental health issues. You feel like the weight of the world is on you. So you're like, leave me alone. And people are
Yeah.
like, oh, oh my God, you're so annoying. And it's not that. It's like we're starting to feel these feelings and we don't know how to process it.
Mhm.
And I always say this when I talk about it. Most families of color, if we talk about mental health, they're like, no, that's nothing. You're being
Yeah.
stupid. You don't have
We say
mental health.
that all
You're
the time.
sweeping it
Yep.
under the rug.
Yep.
But the thing is, we can't keep sweeping it under the rug because it's there. And when you sweep it under the rug, you're trying to tell me that my feelings aren't valid when everybody's feelings are valid. So all of this is all the stuff that I have gone through in my life, familial trauma. You've got to be black enough, you've got to be strong enough, or you know that you're black, so you got to work twice as hard as your counterpart to get there. So it's
Mm.
definitely Sarah going through that stuff. And in her job, she's like a junior designer 15, which has never happened before in her life. And she's got people who are coming up who are like younger than her, and they're like senior or manager designers. And she's just like, well, I guess it's just the way it is. She's come to the point where she's like, is this my life? I guess it is. I don't care. But it is her talking about that and getting her feelings out when she does go to therapy. And every
Yeah.
episode is based like a therapy visit. So that's why there's going to be, well, once again, 7 episodes, but they're only going to be about 11 minutes long, like a therapy
Yeah.
session. So it is her talking to her therapist and talking about her day and what has gone on, and also throwing in, oh, yeah, so I went and helped Skelly. Oh, you helped the skeleton in your closet? Well, we understand that everyone has skeletons. We know it's not real. No, he's real. I don't know what I have to keep telling you. He's real, you know?
My thought was like, where does this character live? And like, how much rent is she paying? That there could be like a whole bar in the like. I was thinking, like, what's the rent
Well,
situation
apparently
for
she
this walk-in
carries the
closet?
skeleton around in her backpack in one of those.
Oh, she brings Skelly along with her, but she lives with her Nana, which everyone calls Hot Nana.
Hot damn.
Hot
Hot
Nana
Nana,
is,
yes.
yes, Hot Nana. Hot Nana is in her, 70s. She's in her prime, but she's always trying to find Skinder dates. I came up with this whole app called Skinder
Okay,
where
so
she's trying to get
let
all
me
these
go this
dates, and
right.
she doesn't
So,
care what they look
reason
like as long
number
as they have a pulse, pretty
725
much.
over God's
I don't care
sake.
what you look like as long as you have a pulse. Let's get
So
it
the other
done.
day I went to the gym because
So she
all the
lives with her
girls,
Nana, and she
yeah,
says
she
that
gives me
that
the
is
cup.
why she
I
feels like
have
she can't get
never
any
had
sleep
such
because she's
penis
always hearing
envy
the
until I
relations
have
going on in
to
the other
pull up
room
a
from Hot
cup
Nana.
all over
Like she's
again.
like right
It is
there,
the
and you hear
most
Hot Nana saying,
unhinged
"Oh,
process a
Charles,
woman
you
has
make
to
me feel
go
so
Okay.
alive, you know.
She honestly sounds like the Roger of the.
It's
of the
just hot. That's
Definitely.
yeah.
Definitely. She is
It works out
sassy.
great because I'm like, I have a
Yeah,
full
she is
bladder.
sassy, and if I could have made
My
her an
skin is
alien, I
strong
would.
and heavy.
But
okay, I fill it up to top.
I
I'm
actually
like, this
am
is
interested
great.
in some of the
I clean up the
characters that I
mess.
saw pictures
Great.
of too.
And
one
I mean,
yeah,
the
go
cup
ahead.
is
Ask me,
full.
ask me.
The cup is like
does
this
definitely
big. The
make
cup
me
is
wonder
full.
how
Okay.
productive is the
I was
therapist?
peeing too
Because
much.
you have names for all the characters
Oh, yeah,
except the
set the
therapist.
cup
You just
on
put
the sink.
therapist.
Uh-huh.
And my
Yeah.
question is, one,
And it fell.
have you thought of a name
And-
already? Because he looks like a Raoul to me.
And I'm not talking about.
Is he seen? I haven't seen him.
Yeah, there's a picture of him. And my second actual question
all
is his
only a little
like,
bit got on my
role
neck.
in the show
So,
going to be
I
like
am literally
hearing
on
about the
floor of
adventures?
doctor's bathroom
Or is he going to
cleaning
have
up
an
the piss
actual
because
like
the
active
cup
part
was-
in the show?
The cup was filled to the
So
top.
you're gonna
make
me-
you're making it to the bar?
Did you just write
And I'm
season
like,
2?
what the-
You're gonna make me.
And it has
Am
one
I
of those
asking
machines
too
You're
much?
gonna make me
noise,
spill
so
my
I'm sure
secrets, and
everybody's
everybody always
fucking
tells me, they were like,
listening.
keep some of that
And
to
I
your
was
chest, and I'm
cleaning
just like, no, let me tell you the whole
No, I
story.
wasn't telling her, but
So
then-
then answer the first part then. Is he a developed
And then I
character
was
as
like
well then?
freaking out because I was
He
like, oh
is.
my god, I'm not
Yeah.
supposed
He
to be
is.
putting
Based on
these
your-
in the toilet.
No, my therapist actually is a lady. Love her to death. She is a
And
very
I
old
flushed
woman.
it
When
and
she
I said
talks
a
to me,
prayer
she's
and I
always
flushed,
knitting,
right?
and I
So
was
I'm
like, she knitting
okay,
today.
great. So I
And she's
keep
like, oh,
cleaning.
Like the idea of the show, too.
grandbabies.
And I keep cleaning. I dry it. I put the stuff
Does she
no,
like the
he
idea of the
in
show?
the trash.
Yeah.
There's literally
He is very
I went
developed.
from
I'm
this
thinking about the
much
name
piss
Raul. His
to
name
this
was
much. And mind you, I
Dr.
cannot.
Kumar?
I have
But
drained
I think we might change
everything
it.
that was in
Because
me,
we
and
do
then-
have an Indian character, and I'm trying to
So
get
that is what
all
I kept
ethnicities in
thinking,
there.
and
We
then
do
I'm
have
like,
Shah
I'm
Jahan,
gonna
who
have to
built
go
the Taj
back in
Mahal.
there.
So we might be able to change his
Go
name to Raul,
back,
maybe.
And I
Okay, so you've thought of other
literally,
historical
I'm
characters too,
poured
then.
Yes,
as
we
much as I
do. We
could,
have
Yeah.
so far
and
right
most
now
of it
we
got
had
on my
Frida Kahlo
hand.
on the
And
first
very
character
li-
sheet,
so
but I
instead
think
of
since
this
she's been
much
done
of
so
this,
much, we might
it was
change her. I was
like
going to change her
this
to Amy
much of piss.
Winehouse.
And I was just like, I can't do this
So we have Amy
anymore.
This is
Winehouse,
the
we have
doctor's
Frederick
office or
Douglass,
clinic?
we
No,
have
the
Anne
doctor's
Boleyn,
office.
who is
And
just
so
a head in a
I,
bowl,
like,
and she is
cleaned it
horny
up,
as
and
all
I'm
get
thinking,
out.
okay, I'm just gonna put it away. I'm gonna walk
I
out
was
as fast as
wondering
possible.
that part actually because I saw the
Yeah.
picture.
I
It was
walk
just a
in
head.
there,
I
and
thought
the
maybe you
fucking
just didn't draw the
receptionist
whole
lady's
thing.
in there. She
That
goes,
makes
Oh
sense.
no, she is
Like, I was in the
actually one of the
clear. She's
wives
like-
of King
walked in, she's
Charles. She got her head.
behind me.
She
Yeah.
was
Oh, I got a
beheaded.
bag
So
for you. I was
yeah.
like, oh my
That's why
God.
she's just a head in a bowl.
Because all
That's
I
why
was
that
about
makes
was
sense.
also, I don't
Yeah,
have
we
the
got
bathroom
Joan
towels,
of Arc.
and,
How do you
I don't have
pick
bathroom
the
towels, but I try to clean it
figures
as fast as
that
I
you
can.
use?
So
Because I know in the
because obviously it is. I
the
am
description of
the
this show,
only
you
person
talk
that
about how
was in
there's
the bathroom.
a lot of
Any
black
problems,
comedy
go to
in
you.
it,
Right,
and so
exactly.
it's
So
you
he
know
gives me the bag, and I'm like,
with Joan of
"Is this
Arc. Like, why
enough?
would she be in
Is
there?
this
You know,
enough?" She goes, "Oh,
Because she's got it.
You
She's
just
got to
can
be
go.
part of the
Meanwhile, my
badass
head
girl
was like, "Oh, no,
gang.
I
Come on
wasn't."
now.
I hear you. I hear you.
And
And we
I just was
are
laughing.
doing
Usually
some
I
race
probably
swapping.
cry
So
or I'd
we
be
have a
super
Bonnie
pissed
and
off, but I
Clyde in
just
there,
started
but they're not
laughing
going to be,
because
Texas
way that
Bonnie
the
and Clyde.
cup
They're going to be
fell was just
race
like,
swapped. So
are
we
you-
are going to have an
Okay.
Asian
It
Filipino
could've fell
Bonnie,
into the
and then we're
sink,
probably going to
right?
have a
Instead,
you
it
know,
fell specifically like
Puerto Rican
on the
Clyde.
side.
So we are doing a little bit of race swapping.
Do you get what
So-
I'm saying?
Like that.
So it's like
I can see that.
yeah, so it's like the
That's
faucet
weird, right?
and then the cup.
Where people put their stuff.
Why can I
Yeah,
see
Is he
that?
gonna be
The
like
cup
dressed
would've
in
leaned
all like
this
Puerto Rican
way, it would
flag
have went into the
garb?
sink. No, it like
He might. I don't know.
perfectly
I don't
lined
want
gotta
to
have a
up
Puerto
My
Rican
thing
flag
is,
side of the
somewhere.
sink.
I know somewhere,
If I
right?
had
Like
not done
displayed
track,
proudly.
I would've
That
had
is what I've
piss
learned. Oh
all
my gosh, I
over
made the
me.
mistake. I was
Is
like,
And
I
that's
said,
what
"Are
I'm
you
tell
Puerto
you.
Rican or
That's-
Cuban?" And they were like,
that's what-
"How dare you?"
That's
And
what
I was
happened
like,
to me,
"No,
Were they
it's-
Dominican?
it's a real question."
And I was like,
Yeah.
I can't wait.
And they were like,
to
"How
see
dare
it
you?"
because
They were like,
Glad
"I'm
it wasn't
Cuban."
through a
I was
drug
like,
test,
Why
because
we
they
get
would've
like
been
that?
like,
We're
man,
all friends,
that's
but we
not
do
enough piss.
not like that. I don't
Oh
know
my
why.
God.
And I was like, I'm
just wanted
I'm
say
trying to
that
ask
straight, 'cause I
questions.
was
Like,
like,
I'm the
I
type
can't
of
believe this
person where I'm
happened to
like,
me.
I can be offensive, but it's definitely because I don't know.
Why did
Like, I am
Right,
that
yeah.
stupid. I am that naive, and I was like, I think for the longest time I kept saying Pitbull is Puerto Rican, right? And they were like, no, how dare you? And I was like,
he's Mr. What is the zip
he's
code?
Mr. 305.
What is it? 305. It's
That's
305.
Miami. That's like Little Havana. No, I'm just kidding.
And I didn't know all that. I was like, I thought he was Puerto Rican, and everybody was like, no, 305. And I was like, you're saying numbers. I don't know what that means to me. You're like, that's an area code. And I was like,
yeah.
Is 305 the area code in Cuba? I don't know.
All the area codes for New York. So I don't know.
Is that the area code for Puerto Rico? I don't know.
I think they told me he was Colombian, or is he Cuban? See, I see, I get it wrong, and that's why I'm like, I don't want to offend anybody. I don't know, but I know he was a serial bot. He was a serial bot. That's all I know.
The inclusion, you putting all these, having all these historical characters, are these going to be like meant to be emotions and psychological subjects, or will they just be adventures kind of things?
So you mean like psychological, like Inside Out, kind of like that, like emotional,
like Big Mouth,
or like Big Mouth, how those all those monsters represent actual feelings. Yeah.
They are all going to have their own little stories as to why they are at the bar. Everybody has to have a story, and I think I got asked that by the guy who actually plays the therapist, and he says, am I to say that I am not a main character? And I said, everybody is a main character in this story. I said, I don't know why you think that. I said, everybody in the story has their own story, so everyone's a main character. And he was like, oh. I was like,
it's not bringing that main character energy, sir. You're supposed to like have that main character energy.
You gotta tell
right? I was like, so yeah, I'm like, so I need you to bring it. Everyone's a main character. Everyone was like, Sarah's the main character and it's Skelly. Yeah, they're the main protagonist, right. But we're gonna have secondary, tertiary, we have all of that. Like everybody has their own story. Like I'll give you like Bonnie and Clyde. We're gonna have an episode that is like mostly about them. They have a Joker Harley Quinn relationship. It's toxic. They think they need each other. They don't. They're fine by themselves. Them being together makes them toxic. And so we have to explore that and why Bonnie feels, oh no, I need my Clyde. And Clyde is like, I don't need my Bonnie, but he definitely is like, without my Bonnie, I'm nothing because she's my prize. And I won her and she's mine. So
right, like a lot of Puerto Rican men. So
with that kind of premise in mind, I guess I know reading about like with your interviews that you wrote that you had written down and everything, and reading and listening to your videos on YouTube. I mean, obviously you are in some point in your own therapy session, in your own therapy journey. Have you been seeing therapists for a long time? You don't have to say exact, but
you say that, but I'm an open book. I always say this because I don't even know how to say it. I am a suicide survivor or a suicide failure. I don't know which one you want to say, but I am definitely, I'm like, oh, I failed at everything. Damn it.
Well, no, that's good. That's something good to feel like.
I know, but then you're like, it's good that you
like, damn, I couldn't do that, right? No.
So I always phrase it two ways. Like I'm very dark humor. People would say black humor, if you will. Sorry. I'm very dark humor, and people don't know if like I'm playing because I'll be like, I was a suicide failure, and they're like, wait a minute, what? And I was like, I tried to commit suicide and I failed. Okay. This is my life. I fail at everything.
It's in the name. Yeah, it's in the
name. But everybody's like, no, I would say you're a survivor. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I don't know. However you want to spin it, I don't care.
Yeah. But, whatever makes them feel better, I guess.
Right. But yes, I am definitely still going through my therapy journey. I have my son, he's 8. And I think last year we had an incident at school and he was saying something bad with his other friend, something about Fortnite, something. Anyway, he got taken to the counselor's office and the counselor, of course, was asking him, how are things at home? And she was like, how's your dad? And he was like, my dad's fine. He goes to work. He comes home. And these are things I did not know, and she asked him, well, how's your mom? And he said, well, my mom is great. I love my mom. She's always working on videos and graphic designs, but every night she goes to bed crying. And I was like, whoa, oh my God, because I'm going in the bathroom, like crying, thinking he's not hearing this. But, I am imparting now, if you look at it, more trauma onto my son, which I never wanted to do. So it's like, I want to stop that familial trauma process, so I have to like, I'm a piece of clay. I need to be molded. There's some kind of dents in me. I think there's dents in everybody sometimes. And sometimes we need to go to therapy and we just need to either talk the dents out with our therapist, and just come to like, our own conclusion. Like I found out, through therapy, I'm not good at boundaries. And it's not like I'm a space invader where I'm in everybody else's boundaries.
Yeah.
I will give until I have nothing. And that's
Right.
not a bad thing sometimes. But if I keep pouring from my cup, I won't have anything left in my cup. And that's what I had to realize. Like, I
Yep.
was giving, trying to give everything, all my Kool-Aid, let's put it that way. It doesn't sound like a cult at all, but I was always trying to give
The
everybody
Coca-Cola
something.
backstories.
I was always trying to give everybody something. If they were like, oh man, I'm short like $20. I'm like, okay, well, here's $20. Let me float you $20 here.
Right.
And it got to the point where at the end of the week, I was like, oh man, I don't have lunch money because, I'd been helping other people. And I'm the
Right.
type of person where if you don't bring it back up, you weren't going to give me the money back anyway. And I wasn't expecting
Mhm.
it.
Right. Yeah.
But I've learned, like, if I keep doing that, people are going to take advantage of me. And I have been taken advantage of where people are like, oh, no, don't worry. It's but I'm so naive that it's that, that it's a trap because you keep saying, hey, you're going to take advantage of me. And they're like, no, no. I'm good for it. I'm good for it. And you're like, are you
Yeah.
sure? And you keep saying it. And then that last little twinge, you're like, I'm gonna do this because you said that you're going to be true,
Right.
and then,
Yeah.
yeah, that
It's just like
losing it.
you just want to believe like there is good in people, that you're doing
Right.
something good and you're gonna get. Before we started the interview, we talked a little bit. You explained you were in surgery 2 weeks ago,
Yes.
and you are going through your cancer journey. Do you want to talk a little bit about how that and creating Skelly and the stories of Skelly kind of correlate with each other?
Oh my gosh, yeah. So it's Skelly for me started as an experiment of becoming okay with death,
Mhm.
because my dad has always told me there's two things that are known. You're born and you're going to die, you
Yeah.
know. But I
Yeah.
was always like, you're born and then you just live your life. That was me,
Yeah. Yeah.
And if anybody ever wanted to talk about death, I was like, no, 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 I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to think about it. Don't want to hear about it. But of course, like, even when you're a child or as you get older, people around you start dying. And with my grandmother, who Skelly is dedicated to, my grandmother got COVID. She was 93. She got COVID, and she ended up in the hospital. And after 2 weeks, they said, take her home. We need the bed. And that's it. And
Yeah.
so they wrote her off and they said, we're going to end her story here. And she proved them wrong. She is 98 years old, still kicking,
Oh,
Wow.
shit. Go,
still
grandma.
kicking.
Still kicking.
And I love my grandma. I love my we call her Grandma Mud. I love her. So this is dedicated to her. So it's always been just an experiment on how I deal with death. She does have dementia, which is hard for me to deal with. She's not the
Right.
same old sassy grandma,
Yeah.
that I used to
Yeah.
see and go in. And now it's very, very hard for me to handle that. And so Skelly was my writing process on how to deal with that. Like,
Mhm.
how do you go and see somebody trapped in their own mind? And then that is very much what she is. She's very much trapped in her own mind. And it's like, it's sad to see, like, you're happy that she's still kicking and she proved the doctors wrong,
Yeah.
but she doesn't remember her children, and my mom and all the kids go there and they take care of her. We all take a week and we go up there and take care of her. And I can just imagine how hard it is on the girls of the family, my mom and her sisters taking care of their
Yeah.
mom,
Yeah.
it's so hard. And so that was a part of it. And then I just had my cancer scare. Um, 2 weeks ago where they were like, hey, we got to get you in. We found some cancer cells. We got to go ahead and take this out, And I call it my body uprising that I was trying to just get out. But yeah, that was very scary. And I don't think it hit me, when they first said, all right, we're going to schedule you for surgery. Cause I was like, oh, yay, I get to get off of work. I'm going to be at home sleeping all day. Ooh, yeah. I was like, this is going to be great. And then it kind of hit me like 2 days before. I was like, oh, this is going to be painful. They're going to cut me open. They are going to do things, and this is going to be scary. It's kind of hit me. And so we went through the process, and happy to say I'm cancer free. Woo!
Yeah.
Anytime I talk
Amen.
about yes, I am
Yes.
cancer free, but I will say that was a testament to my mental health as well. You do go through some kind of surgery, post surgery depression, and I definitely had that. Like, there was some days where I was just like, I don't even know why I'm alive right now. I don't want to be here. I don't want to get up. I don't want to do
Mm.
nothing. and you do have to deal with that, and you have to know that your body is like processing this huge stressor, on you, and then you're trying to get all the toxins out from the anesthesia and everything, and my son wasn't here, so I was like, oh my god, my baby's not here. So I definitely went through that. So all of this is all an experiment on how I'm going as far as how do I feel about death. Still not happy about it. Still don't like talking about it. Still am scared of the unknown. So I still have that's what I'm saying. I have a ton of seasons in me about this. Because I just talking to my friend today, she was like, when you die, you're up there. You're not even in your body. And I was like, but you don't know that. I was like, you can keep telling me this, but you don't know that. And she was like, oh, I know. And I was like, well, how do you know? Did you die and you came back? What happened?
Yeah, tell me more. No, we have that in common. I'm not a big fan of like death
or speaking about it,
or like because to be honest, like I too at a young age experienced a lot of death in my family, and it's such a weird concept to know like you're just not here anymore.
Right.
Like you're just like people just are still having parties without you.
There's this expectation that you have to be okay to talk about it at a certain age. And not everybody is.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And my dad, to this day, is going on 68, and he was like, hey, we need to talk about these things you need to do when I die. And I was like, nope.
Yeah. We don't gotta talk about nothing. Just write it on a piece of paper. And I love that you are dedicating this to your grandmother who has dementia, because I recently lost my grandmother like in November. She had Alzheimer's, and my mom's mom. Thank you. I mean, she lived to 93. I believe she made it to 93.
Damn near 100 years old.
Yeah, and my mom's mom also had dementia. She passed away as well. But I remember. Thank you so much. But I remember watching Human Resources, and I always tell people there's this one episode where the characters are like with their client who's an older woman who has Alzheimer's, and it's like the son's trying to like wants to keep his mom alive as long as possible, and the granddaughter's like just trying to like have fun with it. It's just like this very layered story, and I remember watching it hysterically cry because I was like, oh my god, this is exactly what my dad is feeling. This is exactly what my grandmother, her mental state is. She is thinking about happy moments, but she's stuck here. And then the kids who want to hold on to their parents, but and I was watching a fucking cartoon. I mean, hysterically crying. Like this. My love for animation, and I'm sure you agree with me, is the where it goes. It's not just like very bland. It just goes in such a creative, out of the box way to describe emotions. When I first watched Big Mouth, I was like, this is a bunch of fucking middle schoolers talking about sex. This is so weird. And then once I got over myself, the way they describe the emotions and how they drew them as monsters or an anxiety, but I was like, holy shit, this is exactly what this is it. This is exactly what I was feeling. This is exactly what it feels like. It was just,
and it can't be done with regular humans,
right? And it
can't.
And eye-opening,
right? And I say that about Inside Out too. We just saw that with anxiety.
Yes.
And I don't want to spoil it for you guys, but anxiety is there just trying to set things up. But just even at the end where she's like she's stuck there, but she's constantly moving around. I was like, that is a panic attack. Oh my God. You cannot, like, people can be on TV and they're like, I'm having a panic attack. But when you see it in animation and the way that they draw it out, you like just connect with it. You're like, damn, that is how I feel. Like, I am stuck. I cannot. She was just stuck, and that tear coming out, and just, oh my God. And then that's what I want to bring with animation. And a lot of people said, well, why don't you do this in comic form? And I said, I don't want to do comics anymore. It's a lot of work. People don't understand it's a lot of work. And they were like, well, why don't you do live action? I said, I don't want to do that. Don't want to depend on green screen. I want to tell my story, and I want y'all to go on the journey with me. Yeah, we might have one episode that's like Naruto where it's some filler. I get that. I watch a lot of anime. I hate when they go through filler episodes, but we might have one or two episodes that are filler. But at the end, you're going to learn something about yourself. And I hope that people can like reflect on their life and be like, oh man, I felt like that one time. You know, I felt awkward this one time I did that. Or people who are like me, who are like old, and you still think about what you did that Tuesday in chemistry class, and you're like, oh my God. You know?
Well, I mean, on that same subject, because you guys are right. Like, when I think about animated shows, especially as an adult, like I honestly feel like I've learned more about myself watching adult animation than I ever could listening to a therapist, you know? So like shows like BoJack Horseman, big thing that stuck out to me. You love it, right?
Yeah, BoJack is a whole experiment on therapy, and oh my God, it's amazing. And you think that you're just watching this weird show where this guy is just cussing, he's a horse. You're like, Horseman, I get it, you know, but then, you know, I think it was season 3, once Sarah Lynn, you know, passed away, you're like, oh shit.
Well, to me, it was Todd's story, being one of the only humans on the show, right?
Right.
But when he said to, I think it was to Princess Caroline, now she was like lost and everything. He tells her, "Oh, the woods are dark and scary, but the only way out is through." And I find myself saying that so much since I've heard that. And then I think about other shows that are more like in your face about it, like Rick and Morty, and how he says. Dumb people are happy because they don't know any better, and smart people are sad because they know too much.
Right.
It makes me wonder, with your show being developed, like, is there anything great that you learned from watching cartoons?
Oh my God.
Question.
I learned a lot. If we want to go all the way back, G.I. Joe, you know, and knowing is half the battle. I learned that.
No, I'm not accepting that.
Maybe more. Let's fast forward. Now you've been through your therapy sessions, watching adult animation. Has there been something that's really stuck out? Like, wow, that nobody said it better than that.
I think it was an episode of Tuca and Birdie, which that show does not get enough props.
It's not going to get any from me. I'm sorry. I tried.
Oh my gosh. But there is an episode. It's amazing. Just give it another chance. Like, I understand it doesn't make sense with like the sex bugs and all of that. Yeah, I was with you with that. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? But it's the part where Birdie talks about when she was raped, and she talked about how she just wanted to show off that new red swimsuit. And her coach loved the red swimsuit, and it made her look beautiful. And she was like, I'm so beautiful in this red swimsuit. But her coach took it way too far. Yeah. And that is how she explained that she was raped. And she said, that's when I stopped swimming. That's when I stopped everything.
Oh, shit.
And I think, you know, and I was watching Tuca and Birdie, and I was like, oh, this is some shit. I was like Tiffany Haddish. You know, I'm like, oh, eating my popcorn Michael Jackson style. I was like, this is some crazy ass shit. Because the first episode, you're like, what the fuck is going on? And like, Tuca's doing all this stuff, and then you see that one, and you're like, I need to think a minute, because my husband did not like it either. He hated Tuca and Birdie, but I rewound it and let him watch that episode, and we both just sat there and we looked at each other, and I was like, right? And he was like, wow. And I was like,
you're gonna make me cry right now.
I tried, but I feel like BoJack Horseman definitely had some bops to it. Because, you know, he grows up, like how he grows up and like what that really does to him. And he just thinks like, even if he tries to be good, he can't be good. I'm just like Big Mouth and Human Resources are just like, those two are the cartoons that they just like talk to me for some reason. F is for Family. I feel like
F is for Family
you introduced me to, which, you know, I like Bill Murray.
What about from the past? Like, is there something that you find yourself rewatching and thinking to yourself like, wow, this is hitting me so differently than it did when I was a kid?
You're going to laugh at me. One, Gargoyles. Oh my God.
Yes.
Oh my God. I watch that all the time.
Show about that so bad.
That was a good show.
Oh my God. Oh God.
That's why so many kids are named Brooklyn.
Oh my gosh. I was going to name my child Brooklyn too.
I wanted to too.
Yeah, but my husband said no. But
you need to buy a skyscraper and put it on a castle on the top.
But I didn't get that. I actually got to name my son after, I don't know if you guys have seen Ronin Warriors. That was like an old anime
Yes.
that I used to love with the power of the armor. I named my child after Sage of the Halo. So it's Nyjah Sage. So I let my husband let me get away with that. But thinking about it, Gargoyles was going back to it, even just watching it as a kid, you knew something was different about that show. You were like, this is a show that has many parts. It doesn't end after the 30 minutes. We have a continuation. We keep going. There's issues with Goliath and Demona, who was supposed to be his angel of the night, and Demona is like, I hate all humans and I'm gonna fuck their world up. And you still have Goliath who's trying to be that peace bringer,
Yeah.
and I think for me, I learned a lot of stuff from that. Like, you have to accept people, warts and all, from that. No matter what happens, or just because you think your life is bad, someone is, and I hate to say it, someone has it worse, but it's always, you're not the only one that has problems.
Right.
And it used to be that, because it used to be like, oh, woe is me. No one else feels this sad, drama kid. No one else feels this sad. Oh my God. And even watching Trolls, and I know this, I will watch Trolls all day long. Get back up again. That's my story. Whenever I feel sad, I gotta, listen to that song. She's marching along. She has confidence. She's cooler than a pack of peppermints, and she's like, I gotta get back up again. But the one that I always go to when I'm very sad, and my husband was like, I hate that you do this, I always watch The Last Unicorn, because that is my jam. You have to watch it. It's very old. It's done by Rankin. It's very old. Like, it was older than me when it first came out. I think it came out the year I was born. But it is about a unicorn, and she's the last unicorn. She's trying to figure out where all the other unicorns are. And this kind of, like, they call him Schmendrick, which of course is a Jewish term for like a fool. And so he plays a fool in the circus, and he actually changes her into a human. So the Red Bull can't get her, because the Red Bull has pushed all the unicorns into the ocean. And so she's the last one. And so the Red Bull was chasing after her, and Schmendrick changes her into a human. And literally, as she's a human, like, as a unicorn, she was this mystical being. But as a person, she's like, I feel this body dying inside. She was like, I'm going crazy. She's like, this body, every second I feel it dying. She was like, I'm not used to this. And it's just her going from a unicorn and trying to be a person, and she feels these things of love and lust, and unicorns didn't feel that. They were this magical thing, and she goes, and as a unicorn, she runs up on people and she says, people see me as a white mare, and they want to catch her because they're like, oh, we've never seen a white horse really like that. And they're like, come here. They don't see her horn because it's magical, so it's not there. But the whole thing is just about her turning into Princess Amalthea. That's the fake name they give her to stay away from the Red Bull. But it's just her going through her madness of actually being a magical being in a human's body and mind. The fact that she is not eternal. She is dying. She's not everything she thought she was, and in that mind, she has to, she falls in love with the prince, and she was like, I don't want to go back to being a unicorn. She falls in love. And so she has to make a decision. Do I want to do I go back to be a unicorn? Everybody's like, no, you need to go back to being a unicorn because that's what you were. And she was like, I don't remember that life. She starts to forget who she was. So I'm telling you, it's really old. It came out in 1982. It's on Amazon Prime, totally free. That's not a sponsorship thing.
That's the one thing we're gonna edit.
What's up? It can't be though. What's up? All right, we're gonna wrap things up, but before we do, we heard about all the cartoons you love. We need to know, what is the one cartoon that you absolutely cannot stand?
That's a hard one, because I like a lot. I can
help you out. Captain Planet was always an issue for me.
Okay? He's our hero. Gonna take
he was up on his. He was up on that soapbox of his, sucking all this stuff. He was annoying. I couldn't stand that. I couldn't stand it.
He was amazing with his flat top mullet wrap.
No, I hate that cartoon.
I was a Planeteer. I'm sorry, I can't. You can be one too, because saving our planet is the thing to do. I think that's all I can legally say.
I don't think when Daria was huge, I was old enough to appreciate it at the time.
love Daria.
I love Daria.
Personality.
I don't think I was just old enough to appreciate it at the age that I was in when it was big.
It's because you were a boy. You didn't get it. It was really for us ladies, us high school ladies. It wasn't for you. It's fine.
Yeah, I think now, like, the stuff that I don't like, and it's gonna sound really bad because it puts me in a bad light, is most of the newer stuff coming out. Like, I get
that.
I don't watch the newest stuff, so I'm not offended at all.
Yeah. But it puts me in a bad light because I'm like, please support my show.
It is nuts to think that about how much animation out there is actually geared with adult humor, you know?
Yeah, because we're the ones we're the ones watching it.
Like, there's a show on Cartoon Network. I'm sure you've heard of it. The Regular Show.
I love Regular Show.
That show is so funny, but like the jokes are so well written that they're obviously adult jokes, but like nobody would know if they were watching it with a kid, you know? Like,
Right.
especially the fact that they get soda wasted, you know?
I literally had to make my son go in the room when I think Muscle Man took off his shirt. And he's like, Mom. Yeah.
No, one of my favorite is the gang of ducks and how they're beating everyone up, but they're ducks. So it's like you're not gonna tell them to leave.
I have one more Regular Show.
I do have one more show. Family Guy. I hate. I can't stand Family Guy.
I can see that. Yeah, Family Guy got a little long in the tooth. And I think once they took the Epicat, that was when it lost me, where they were all just throwing up. I was done.
Oh yeah, that was a weird.
Yeah, I was done. But I love American Dad. I will still watch American Dad.
All right, high five on that.
Yes,
I do say that's one of his the best of his repertoire.
I'm just saying, all I need is Steve. I need Steve to just sing to me.
You need Steve Anita, okay?
Right? Yes, I need Steve and Anita Smith. Been 3 hours since I saw you walk away from me.
It's so funny that there's so much soul. Kayla, thank you so much for talking with us. We are super excited. We cannot wait to see Skelly take off. Please let everybody know where they could find you, Skelly, where they could support, where they could help make this happen.
Yes, so you can find Skelly on Instagram. We are there at skelly.anim, ANIM. We are also on TikTok. We are called Skelly Be Bones. We are also on the Twitter. We had to do things that are fancy. We had to, so on the Twitter, we are _S Skelly _ANIM. Yes, I think that's it.
We'll make it a link.
Yeah, we'll make it, guys. You know, we'll have everything in the notes for you. Yeah,
right. But if you want to do it the easy way, just go to skellyAnimation.com. Everything is there. That's the pre-launch page. All I need y'all to do is, if you want a little wristband, $5 pre-order, you get a little wristband. Skeleton Crew. Oh, actually, now I'm calling the fans of Skelly bone bags. So no, I'm gonna have to change it. So.
Is that on the merch?
So yeah, and I definitely have to donate a drink to you guys. So we gotta come up with a drink. We gotta come up with a drink.
I would just love a song to be played at the Skelly bar. I want to make my own requests.
Oh, yes, definitely. Come on by the bar. We'll talk about it. Oh, I also wanted to put out there, we do have a Discord. The Discord, the reason I bring it up is that we do have a mental health check-in. We have a little post that everybody can go and check in. If you're having a bad day, you can come and talk to us about it. We have tons of people there who are willing to listen, willing to help out. If you're a voice actor trying to get in, we have a ton of voice actors who had just started this during COVID, and we have veteran voice actors who are there to help. And I always tell everybody, any resource that is out there and is for you, please use it. So please join the Discord if you want to. It is open to everybody. I will send the link for that. Definitely check out the mental health.
Please,
Hell yeah.
we love to hear that. If you guys want to know what we're up to, you can find us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook at Bubble Bath Stories.
You can find me at Got No Time for This on Instagram.
And you can find me at Nikki Trends on Instagram. If you guys are looking for some official merchandise or, to look cool, you can hit our website up at Bubble.
Buy it.
You can hit us up at bubblebathstories.co. And if you're looking to vent, give us a compliment or a complaint or tell us a secret. I don't know. Or tell us your favorite cartoon. Who knows?
Yeah. Tell us what you learned from cartoons.
You can hit up our hotline. It is 347-878-1144. I fucking crushed that outro.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know, but it's been a struggle, but I fucking crushed that.
We do it
I was gonna ask you if it was 305, but it's not.
And it's 347. No, you guys, let's make Skelly happen. Okay.
Yes,
First of all,
please.
there's so many bad cartoons out there. Let's get a good cartoon out there. Hello.
The YouTube. We get her as many streams as we can, and let's get this crowdfunding.
Let's get this crowdfunding started. Until next time, guys. Bye.
Y'all have a good night. Damn Dam's going to bed.